What if Game of Thrones had an all-star black cast? Let's talk. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Let's Talk. So, I'm here talking to you about Game of Thrones again. I know a lot of you guys are mad at me about the whole season 5 shit talk I've been doing. I mean, season 5 sucked though, man. I mean, Barrister Selmy, I like that whole, he went out like a G. He took down like 12 motherfuckers. You know, Mormont in the Gladiator Pits, I thought that was cold as hell. I mean, he got his ass whooped by the little dancer Bravose, but I mean, that was still cold as hell. Also, Hard Home was probably the best episode. I mean, that was one of the best episodes I've seen in Game of Thrones. I mean, Hard Home, they brought back suspense, terror, and fucking fantasy back in the Game of Thrones with that shit. I mean, once I saw that, I was completely back on the fucking G.O.T. bandwagon. So, I mean, but anyway, I just thought season 5 kind of sucked. I mean, the Dornish scene kind of sucked. But anyway, I was trying to explain Game of Thrones to a friend of mine. We'll call her Grumpy 2000. So I was trying to explain to Grumpy that pretty much the whole storyline. Now, she wasn't getting it, and I wasn't sure whether that was my fault or what, you know, but she wasn't really following. I mean, I guess the show wasn't grabbing her interest, which is impossible because Game of Thrones is the best show out there. So I thought, what could I do to maybe change her mind? What if Sean Bean, Ned Stark, was played by somebody different? What if he was played by Denzel Washington? Man, that would be a change of events. Every black woman on the planet will watch Game of Thrones if Denzel Washington played Ned Stark. So I'm going to talk to you guys about what if Game of Thrones had an all-star black cast. Let's go in. So the show starts out in the north. Now, Ned Stark has to behead a guy because he deserted his post at the wall. What the guy did was he deserted his post. And if you're a part of the Night's Watch, you can't just desert your post like that or they chop your head off. But he claimed to see zombies. Now, who Ned Stark is, he's in charge of this castle called Winterfell. He's in a position called Warden of the North, basically. So on his way back to Winterfell, he wanted to get all of his children, these wolves he saw. You know, 6 wolves, 6 children. Now he's got Robb, Bran, Rickon, Arya, Sansa, and Jon Snow the bastard. Jon Snow is the only child by another woman that's not his wife. So when Ned Stark goes back to Winterfell, he sees King Robert Baratheon's there. Now, King Robert Baratheon went to Winterfell for a few specific reasons. Him and Ned have a long history. He tells Ned about how his number one advisor, Jon Arryn, just died. So the history with the king, Ned Stark, and Jon Arryn goes way back to the war with the Mad King, Aerys Targaryen. So they all have a lot of history. So Jon Arryn dying was a big bummer to, you know, Robert, and of course it would be a big bummer to Ned. So he asked Ned, like, hey, you know, I'm going to need somebody to come back and be my number one advisor, which is called Hand of the King. Ned kind of was like, I like the North, fuck that. So, and Robert brought the Queen, his wife Cersei Lannister, and her twin brother Jaime Lannister, who's in charge of the Kingsguard. So Ned, he really didn't want to go to King's Landing. He wanted to actually stay in Winterfell, but his wife got a letter from her sister Lysa saying that Jon Arryn was killed by the Lannister family. So Bran was climbing the wall like he usually does, and he walked in and saw Cersei Lannister and Jaime Lannister getting it on. And that's pretty gross because they're like twin brother and sister. So when Jaime Lannister found him and saw him watching him, he decided to toss Bran's ass out the window. And Bran got really fucked up. He didn't die, but he's like paralyzed from the waist down. So Ned said, something's going on with those fucking Lannisters, so I'm definitely going to King's Landing now. And on his way to King's Landing, his daughter gets into it with the Prince Joffrey. He's a huge fucking cunt. So So Joffrey fucks with Arya and she has her wolf bite his hand. So he goes and bitches to his mother and then they put the wolf to death. So Arya like hates the Lannisters now. Like she vows to kill him and shit. And her brother Bran, a guy comes in the middle of the night and tries to kill him. So Bran's mom, Catelyn, she rides all the way down to King's Landing to tell Ned like, hey, somebody just tried to kill your son that's in a coma. Ned said, what the fuck? You ain't killing my son. So he goes to Peter Baelish and Lord Varys to ask, hey, do you guys have any clue who could possibly be trying to kill my son? So Lord Varys says, I don't have a clue. Peter Baelish said, I know exactly who fucking did it. It's Tyrion Lannister, the fucking imp. The imp has a Valyrian steel knife like that. He gave it to the assassin and they tried to kill your son. That's who did it. That's what you should stick to. And fuck the Lannisters. What? And I'm not sure if you guys noticed the name, but he's also the brother of Cersei and Jaime Lannister. So Catelyn, Ned Stark's wife, she arrests Tyrion and takes her to her sister, Lysa, and Lysa locks him up. So Tyrion's not stupid and says he wants a trial by combat. And the sellsword named Bran steps up, says, hey, as long as you pay me, I'll kill whoever you want, and kills her top 9. So while Ned Stark's in King's Landing, he figures out the secret that got Jon Arryn killed. Joffrey's not King Robert's son. He's actually the son of Cersei and Jaime Lannister. So he's an inbred fucking kid. Ew. Gross. So when the queen figures out that Ned figured that Jaime and her have a relationship going, she decides to take matters into her own hands. She comes up with the fucking plot on how to kill the king so Joffrey can hurry up and become king. And then no one could fuck with them. So she goes ahead and arranges a hunting accident for King Robert. Now Robert's one of my favorite characters because he's fucking crazy. But that poison did the trick on his ass. So Ned decides to go to Peter Baelish and like, hey, I need some troops to back me up so when I approach the queen, we can lock her ass up. So he said, yeah, I got your back. I love your wife, so of course I help you, motherfucker. Lies. Fucking Peter Baelish lying ass, trick Ned, Ned gets caught, Joffrey cuts his head off. Fuck. Kills my boy Denzel Ned Stark again. Damn. That was rough, man. I had to relive that. So when his son Robert finds out, Robert is fucking pissed. Robert's like, what the hell? I'm killing Lannisters. So he kills a bunch of Lannisters in this battle by tricking them because he's like a fucking war tactician. You know what I'm saying? Very good at strategy. So after all the northern people see this, they're like, hey man, you should be the fucking king. We should start calling you the King of the North. Speaking of the North, all the way north at the Wall, Jon Snow is actually manning the wall, and he fucking hates it. Now, what the wall is, it's this giant ice wall, and it's to keep wildlings and savage people out, and monsters, and zombies, and White Walkers, just to keep those guys out. So Jon, he's manning the wall with Sam. Sam, like, sucks as a fighter, but Sam is, like, ultra fucking smart. So Jon is manning the wall with Sam. There's been a lot of talk lately of a lot of fucking zombies walking around killing people. Now, the zombies are called whites. So there's a lot of whites going around killing people. And Jon even has to save the Lord Commander from some whites because those zombies tried to get him. So Jon wants to go help his brother fight since brother's the king of the North now. But Lord Commander said, look, dude, didn't you just see them fucking zombies? Sit your ass down and protect us from these zombies. Anyway, way in the fucking east, there's this place called Essos, where Daenerys and Viserys Targaryen both live. Now, they're both the children of the former king. Now, the former king was called Mad King Aerys because he was crazy. He was burning people alive, all types of shit. And the new king, Robert, had to fuck his ass up and usurp the throne from him. Now, that was a crazy part in the book called Robert's Rebellion. I wish they do it. I wish they make a show of it. So Daenerys and Viserys both want the Iron Throne back. So they're trying to gather an army. So what Viserys did was he married her off to this big-ass horse lord called Khal Drogo. And at the wedding, she got 3 dragon eggs. Now that they're married, Khal Drogo has over 60,000 troops, but Viserys thinks he can still check Daenerys and slap her around and all this fucked up shit. Well, that pisses Khal Drogo off because she ends up getting pregnant. So he burns him with a golden necklace that he fried and boiled down. So he burns and kills Viserys. Daenerys wasn't tripping because Daenerys pregnant. But then Khal Drogo gets jacked up in this fucking fight and he gets cut. Now, after he gets cut, this healer says she's going to heal him, but she ends up just fucking cursing him, and he ends up going into like a vegetable state, and she ends up cursing Daenerys, and Daenerys loses the baby. So when Daenerys loses the baby, she decides to burn Khal Drogo's body, the dragon eggs, and she decides, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to go into the fire too. So since they're all burned up, it's all poetic, Daenerys is dead by fire with her true love and her baby. She wakes up the next morning with 3 fucking hatched dragons. And she's unburned. What the fuck? She instantly just became the mother of dragons, which is real important in the story because now she went from like being a beggar to like this fucking badass chick with 3 dragons. Well, that pretty much sums up season 1 of Game of Thrones. I hope my friend Grumpy was able to follow along. But anyway, like this, subscribe, and all in all, I think this was a pretty good talk.